Welcome back. This week we will be learning how to add and subtract decimals using written form, then putting it in standard form, adding and then putting the sum in expanded base 10 pictorial form. So let's look at this example. It says add 372 and 631 thousandths to 46 and 58 hundredths. We have some very important words in here. In class last week, remember, we underlined and. That's going to be important because that lets us know where our decimal point goes for that number. And over here we have and again because we're adding two different numbers together. The next important word in this equation is the word to, because that lets us know that we are putting things together. So I'm going to put a box around 2. That will remind me to add 2. The letter starts with the letter T, and the letter T looks like a plus sign, so that can help us remember it. So now we're ready to move on to this problem. So the first thing we have to figure out is what are we adding. So I'm just going to read the number like in class. 372, and put my decimal point, 631. Now, remember, the 2 lets me know that we're going to be adding, so I put my plus sign. And now I read the next number. 46 and 58 hundredths. Now, this is us just writing the expression out, and then we're going to have to line them up. So, Miss Silda's secret is start at the decimal point. So, I'm going to come down here. And then I'm going to start at my decimal point. And I know that there's a 5 and an 8 after the decimal point. And there's a 6 and a 4 before the decimal point. Now, do you see how the 1 doesn't have anything under it? I'm just going to go ahead and put a 0 because that's just a place value holder. And now we're ready to add. This is the hardest step, getting our numbers lined up correctly. That's why I wrote the number sideways first to make sure I wrote it correctly. Now I lined them up based on my decimal point. So I simply just bring this down. And then I add like when we were first grade. We start in the back. 1 plus 0 is 1. 3 plus 8 is 11. Carry the 1. 6 plus 5 is 11. Plus 1 more is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 6 is 9. Or you might do 2 plus 6 is 8 plus 1 more is 9. That's still correct. Then we get 7 plus 4 is 11. Carry the 1. 3 plus nothing is 3. Plus 1 more is 4. So, that is our sum for the adding the numbers in our problem. When we add two numbers together, we get a sum. So, now we're not finished. Now we're going to put the sum in standard form, expanded form, base 10 form, and pictorial form. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to write standard form. And we know standard form just means write the number. So I get 419 and 211 thousandths. That's pretty simple. Then we get to do your favorite expanded form. So I'm going to do my expanded form underneath it because we know that it's very long. So I get parentheses 4 times 1, 2 zeros. Remember, we look at before the decimal point, then we go back and do after the decimal point. So there's 2 numbers after it. Plus 1 times 1 with 1 0 because there's 1 number after it. Plus 9 times 1. That's the whole number part. Now we have to move to the decimal part, so we get plus 2 times 1 over 10. And remember, it's 10 because it's the first number after the decimal point, so it's 10. Plus 1 times 1 over 100 plus 1 times 1 over 1,000. Close parentheses. And that's how we put it in expanded form. Now we're going to be looking at base 10. And remember, base 10 means that we have the number 10 in our problem. So when I write it out, I get parentheses 4 times 10 to the second. Oh, I hope I have enough room to fit. Plus 1 times 10 plus 10 to the first power, 9 times 10 to the 0 power, plus 2 times 10 to the minus 1, and minus 1 because it's the first number after the decimal point, plus 1 times 10 to the minus 2, plus 1 times 10 to the minus 3, which just barely fit. So that's how we put it in base 10 form. The last form that we have to do is pictorial model. I remember with pictorial model, that's when we draw our place value chart. So I'm just going to do that on the back. So I draw my place value. And we know that we'll have a little column here with our decimal point. And then we put hundreds. And I'm okay if you put abbreviations, but I don't want you just to put an H. I want to make sure you know. Alright, and then over here we get tenths, hundreds. Make sure you put TH on the end, hundredths, and then thousandths. So, our number remember in class we draw arrows. So this way your blocks should be gets bigger. They should be getting bigger. So when you draw your picture, it should get bigger this way. And then after the decimal, it gets smaller. So our number was 419.211 thousandths. Alright, so now we're ready to put it in our boxes. So remember, it gets bigger as it goes this way. So I'm going to draw big boxes for that, and I need 4 of them. Our tenths are just a little bit smaller. So some of you just draw sticks, that's okay. And then our ones are teeny tiny. Then over here on the right side of the decimal, which is where our decimals are, then we're going to get 2, and this should be bigger, and then 1, and then this should be like really teeny tiny. So that's how you draw your picture. On your test, a lot of you just put all your boxes the same size, and that's incorrect. I want to make sure that I can see that you understand it gets bigger moving to the left, and it gets smaller moving to the right. Can't wait to try this in class.